Okay, I love it. So you sit, you stand. Your stand is your doing.
Yes.
Okay.
That's part of building the muscle.
Building the muscle. Okay. And now you got to start walking it out. And so let's now go to the person who's maybe not a teenager or even in the early 20s. Now they're in their 30s, maybe even early 40s, and now they're starting to venture off into other things.
Right.
This is where I see a lot of people that I coach, JD, is that they have decided to start flipping houses or buy real estate or start a restaurant, okay? So they're going from sitting, standing, walking it out. Most of them are falling on their butt.
Right.
Please help. Okay, can you help us?
Yes, I mean, it happens.
Okay.
It happens. When you're taking risks, those things are going to happen. But the best way to mitigate that risk is to find partners,
Okay.
to collaborate, to establish relationships with people who are the professionals, who have flipped a house before,
Okay.
who have started a restaurant, before you just go out there and try to do it on your own.
Okay, please help us with this, okay? Because I almost feel guilty sometimes for motivating 15,000 people to go do something big, right?
Right.
And then I almost got to call you and say, hey, JD, help clean up some of these messes that some of us have made. Because I'm great at inspiring people to go do, but one of the reasons I love this collaboration is because you have passion and you have strategy. I'm loving your strategy in the area of finances that, okay, so you sit, you stand, you walk it out, but in going out and birthing these businesses that so many people are trying, again, a lot of people are failing.
Right.
But you teach that failure is not final.
It's not final. It isn't. Failure is a part of the process.
Yes.
So it's okay to fail, but how can we minimize what that failure looks like?
Okay.
And I mean, the best way to do that is to minimize how many things you get into. How many different businesses do you start at one time? Focus on what you're good at. Focus on what you know first.
Okay, so you just helped me. So this is one reason I love JD Frost, is because you're very practical, but you're also a risk taker, which we'll talk about later.
Right.
But the practical side of you is saying, don't try to do too many things at one time, which I feel like a lot of young entrepreneurs try to do that. And even people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who are trying too much at the same time.
Right. I mean, I've even done that.
Okay.
I'll admit. I mean, that's something that I did when I started my accounting firm. I also started a couple other businesses at the same time. I started getting into some real estate as well. And after about 5 or 6 years of that, I've realized, you know what? I probably should have stuck with just accounting to begin with. And that's what I've done, is I've actually gone back to those fundamentals. And those fundamentals and what I know, I'm going to make that as good as I possibly can. I'm going to systemize my whole business.
Okay, take me back to the fundamentals again.
Yeah.
Tell me again. The fundamentals are what?
So the fundamentals are doing what you know.
Okay.
Doing what only you know, that you have the 10,000 hours of experience in.
Yes.
If I've never flipped a house before, that is not the first thing I need to be doing.
Okay.
I've got to stick to the fundamentals.
Oof.
And that is your hard skills. Your hard skills that you've maybe been working for somebody else. What did you do? What were those skills?
Yes.
Write those down.
Okay. And in both of our teachings, we talk about soaring with your strengths. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Soar with your strengths and know what you're good at. And just because you see something on television or on social media, don't just jump into that type of business without understanding.
Right, and if you see somebody else making a lot of money doing that, it's probably for a reason. It's probably because they've done it before, or they've spent a lot of time studying that specific industry. It is so easy, though. I mean, I'm guilty of this as well. It's so easy to get sucked into thinking, oh man, I need to do that too. Oh, I need to go join this MLM. I need to go do this as well. It's all a distraction. And that really isn't but being a good steward. It's not being a good steward of your own skills.
Okay, so help me with this. So JD Frost says sit, then stand, and that means making moves, okay? then you walk it out. You walk out these principles. Give me a little more about walking it out and taking risks and doing things. Maybe even in your own life. Give me one story of where you had to take a risk and walk something out.
Well, I mean, starting the accounting firm was a big risk for me.
Yes.
When I started the accounting firm, I was working for another firm. I had a great job. I was making good money, but I wanted something more. I felt like that I could go do this on my own. So I had to put together a budget to see what kind of revenue I could bring in for that accounting firm, what kind of expenses I would have, how big would my staff be. I had to walk through that business plan.
Yes.
And so when I put together that business plan, I was able to write everything out, what my marketing plan would be, what my business plan was, what the finances would look like. And then once I put it all down on paper, I just had to make the decision.
Yes.
And you've got to make the decision and then commit.
Wow.
And never stop.
Yes.
Never, ever stop after that.
Which I love this about you, and I think that's why so many of us follow you. I mean, a lot of people that do well pay attention to J.D. Frost, and you also know the negative side, the spiral side, where there were times in your own life as a young person, and even in your 30s, where you wondered, could this whole thing go up in smoke?
Oh, yeah.
Give us one time where you felt that could happen.
Oh, I mean, how many times? I mean, can I just talk about one? I mean, when you own a business, I mean, there's risks that you're taking. I mean, there is a lot of debt that I'm in even right now.
Yes.
I mean, there's chances that I've taken. There's advertising, branding. I mean, I'm going all out.
Yes.
Right? But I have to pull myself back into these same principles of, look, where am I? Am I being a good steward?
Yes.
Am I spending money in the proper places?
So I'm going to say this because I know you so well, but I believe you're taking calculated risks. It's not like
it's not blind risk.
It's not blind risk. It's not like, you know, I used to love when you'd see these people jump off these rocks like in Acapulco. But you know, my thoughts were always like, "Are you sure there's not rocks down there, right?"
Yeah, I could never do that.
Okay, so I think that you're a calculated risk taker, and that you've built your faith to do that.
Right.
And it's almost like David in the Bible. I killed the lion, I killed the bear, I could take down Goliath.
Right.
So I think from time to time, the J.D. Frost gets it in you.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to take down Goliath.
I'm going to go for it. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes, yeah. No
but
doubt.
It comes back to the J.D. Frost way of sitting, standing, walking, okay? Walking it out, walking out, walking out. In your system, you say that you need to walk until you become really good at walking.
Right, exactly. And I mean, one thing to talk about as well is, you know, I'm a big proponent of people starting their own businesses.
Okay.
I think it's the best decision that anybody can make. It is a calculated risk that people will make as long as you do your homework before you take that risk.
Yes.
Before you make that decision. I was talking with a client earlier today. He's like, man, I messed up. I decided to grow my business way too quickly. And I talked to him and I said, look, listen, here's the plan. This is what we laid out. This is a difficult time.
Yes.
But as long as we execute this plan, as long as you bring in these many sales each day, this many sales each week, you're going to pull yourself out of this.
Yes.
And what's interesting is if you take the time to break down that difficult time that you're in, that huge amount of debt that you might have, as long as you take the time to break it down fundamentally, you can overcome it.